Hi YouTube, welcome to the latest video coming to you from all things Hitman. My name is Reaper1. This is part 2 of my latest Hitman Lore video, the story of Diana and 47. Part 1 covered the events surrounding them between Codename 47 and Blood Money. It is strongly recommended that you view part 1 before this video. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. This second part will cover their evolving connection between Hitman Absolution and the latest entry to date, Hitman 2. To conclude, I will also be discussing where their story could be heading next. By the conclusion of Blood Money, the bond between 47 and Diana had been taken just about as far as it could go. Over the interlinked storylines of 4 entries, it had been established that they were strong allies who shared a mutually high level of trust, respect and affection for one another. Diana had saved 47's life numerous times. This meant, in a symbolic sense, he owed her a life debt. Because there was limited room left for the Hitman writers to deepen their relationship, they introduced a plot twist whereby 47 was forced to turn on his longtime friend, colleague, and ally. The intention of this was to keep the overarching Hitman narrative interesting and engaging, by showing players a scenario that neither 47 nor Diana had been confronted with before. Hitman Absolution immediately threw this spanner in the works, by assigning 47 to eliminate Diana in the very first prologue mission. Diana had seemingly betrayed ICA by releasing sensitive and highly slanderous files regarding the agency. 47 is evidently disturbed and disheartened by this mission. However, he retains his professionalism and soldiers on with the assignment.
One day, I will think of this as just another job.
ICA have tracked Diana to a flash cliffside mansion outside of Chicago, Illinois. She has hired a highly trained team of mercenaries to protect her. 47 must elude them in order to reach her, and as he does, the tension slowly rises to the impactful moment he must confront and assassinate his longtime friend. 47 awkwardly encounters Diana when she is showering. I strongly believe that this subjectively intimate moment was not intended to highlight any potential undercurrent of romantic tension or attraction between the characters, but rather to reveal how vulnerable Diana has become. 47 has one final moment of hesitation before firing a non-lethal shot. Interestingly, Diana's face is revealed here for the first time in the series. Again, I feel this symbolises her newfound vulnerability. Here 47 and Diana share what is probably their most endearing moment from any entry. He looks deeply into her eyes in an earnest search for truth, and sees almost immediately that the corrupt ICA section chief Benjamin Travis, who has sent him there to kill Diana, was betrayed for good reason. 47 discovers from Diana that Travis's section had been secretly cloning genetically modified killers, primarily the young girl Victoria. Not wanting another young adolescent clone to suffer as 47 did, Diana takes the girl and goes into hiding. On her dying breath, she tasks 47 with protecting her at all costs.
Take the girl and run.
I believe this touching scene perfectly encapsulates just how far they have come. Despite this being a powerful moment, many aspects of Absolution proved lackluster for 47 and Diana. A dramatic ending reveals that Diana in fact survived and provided 47 with a letter explaining everything. It is a cool notion. Unfortunately, the less than inspiring storyline in between and the new direction of linear gameplay took much away from this. Players are distracted by linear levels and uninspiring characters such as Birdie.
No, wait.
Diana's absence from the majority of the game also did not do much for her character. It was difficult for long-time players to reconnect with her when she was hardly present. Absolution demonstrated a lot of promise for 47 and Diana from the beginning. Sadly, like it failed to on many levels, it did not deliver the same natural progression for their characters that flowed between the previous Hitman entries. There was one important outcome, however. When Travis begs 47 to reveal whether he ever did kill Diana, 47 replies harshly,
"You will never know."
This climactic moment showcases that 47 has enacted with merciless efficiency to rid Diana of any danger. He saves her life. His life debt is repaid. This only empowers them further and puts them on an even playing field for future installments. To the delight of many fans, the episodic release of the 6th entry in the franchise, aptly titled Hitman, saw Diana return to the fold with 47 front and centre. This installment revamped the series by returning it to its sandbox roots and putting a hefty focus on replayability and open-ended gameplay. It was a decent blend of Absolution and Blood Money, applying instinct mode and reintroducing challenges, while simultaneously instilling the player with full sandbox control over mission strategy and loadout customization. The strong emphasis on open-ended gameplay put an incredibly interesting spin on Diana's accompaniment of 47 on his missions. Her omniscient commentary was no longer limited to just 1 or 2 lines of narrative like in previous games. The player now had several methods of assassination and lines of infiltration at their disposal. This created dozens of possibilities, which in turn switched up the dialogue of Diana's input.
Soda's down.
What do you think you're doing?
To be honest, I'm not sure what to feel about this one. Elegant solution, 47. With sodas on the operating table, and no hope of getting a second right-sided heart in time, you have effectively killed him.
This mode of multi-layered storytelling was a new method of writing applied to the Hitman universe, as explained here by lead writer Michael Vogt.
The main story, obviously, that's a fixed linear storyline, which is pretty much like writing for a TV series. And then there's the actual in-game missions, that's completely different. That's like writing for almost like a multiverse of possibilities, because you have to consider every eventuality of what the player might do. That's a completely different discipline altogether.
This level of variety certainly enhanced her believability as a three-dimensional character, and made her an even more cherished companion of intel for players on 47's escapades of assassination. Even if she did have a habit of repeating herself.
That is Victor Novikov. That is Victor Novikov. That is Victor Novikov. Head of Sandman and ringleader of ER.
47 and Diana have now known each other for years, and are quite comfortable to discreetly meet in person. It is interesting to see that their meetings are juxtaposed to the older games, her face being in full view, whereas 47's is conveniently obscured. I believe this is to help reflect the intriguing mystery of 47's past, which is a prominent theme in the plot with the introduction of the Shadow Client. Since the build-up of 47 and Diana's bond arguably peaked in Blood Money, emphasis on their connection took a backseat, with character development centering more on ICA's interactions with fresh new characters like Lucas Grey and Providence. For instance, when the constant Arthur Edwards approaches Diana on the train and convinces her to work with Providence in exchange for information on 47's past. This tells us that even though she has worked with 47 for 20 years, and has saved his life on more than one occasion, she still knows virtually nothing about where he came from. The story of Diana and 47 could very well have ended with Hitman. In mid-2017, the longtime developer and primary financier of Hitman, Square Enix, suddenly announced that they were discontinuing their development of the franchise due to a difficult business decision. This unsettled the fan base, as many were unsure if this was the end for 47. After a few uneasy months, IO Interactive announced that they had successfully negotiated a deal with Square Enix. To the elation of fans, they became an independent studio and sole occupier of the Hitman IP as a result. Shortly after, they released the official announcement for the sequel to Hitman, Hitman 2. Fans were overjoyed. Hitman 2 was essentially identical to Hitman in terms of gameplay, the only real additions being Ghost Mode and a few minor tweaks and advancements to equipment and stealth mechanics. The Providence storyline established in Hitman continued in Hitman 2. Diana now became more of a maternal mentor for 47, kind of like Judi Dench's M to 007 or Pamela Landy to Jason Bourne. She began steering 47 in the right direction to help him uncover his past, such as when she organises for him to encounter Lucas Grey in the Romanian asylum.
It was acquired by an anonymous investor using cryptocurrency. It has to be Lucas Grey.
He's here.
The events of Hitman were all just an exposition, establishing new characters, settings, and context for what was to come. The plotline for Hitman 2 utilises this exposition to focus more on the narrative rollercoaster that becomes entrenched in 47's past. Diana plays a key role in nurturing 47 as he relinquishes his memory to discover more about his origins and links to Providence through Ortmeyer and Lucas Grey.
You don't know who he is, but 47 does.
Still, even though Diana has been elevated from handler to maternal mentor, her growth with 47 has become astoundingly stale by this point. Once again, the writers must introduce an overly dramatic event to cause tension between the two characters to keep players invested in their story. The event in this case is when the Constant reveals to Diana at the conclusion of Hitman 2 that it was in fact 47 who murdered her parents, echoing the story laid out by the Hitman comics. Unfortunately, this narrative device fails to create any real or plausible tension between them, at least for those players, such as myself, that have been invested in their story from the very beginning. They have been through far too much for even this to divide them. With the impending release of Hitman 3, the future of 47 and Diana is currently deadlocked at a crossroads of uncertainty. To finish the video, I will now be discussing and theorizing potential plot spoilers for the next chapter in the franchise. You have been warned. There are now essentially 3 plausible outcomes for Diana and 47 now that the cat is out of the bag regarding 47 having murdered Diana's parents. Outcome 1. Diana betrays 47 in anger and dies. Outcome 2. Diana forgives 47 and survives. Outcome 3. Diana forgives 47 and sacrifices herself to save Grey and 47. Let's discuss each of these possible outcomes in more detail. Outcome 1. Diana betrays 47 in anger and dies. This to me seems the most unlikely and ludicrous route for the Hitman writers to go down. It would be an extremely tragic, wasteful and anticlimactic conclusion to such a long and prosperous relationship. They have been through far too much for Diana to suddenly turn on 47. After all, the young boy that murdered her parents is not the 47 she has come to know and love. Both he and Grey were manipulated into doing it by Ortmeyer and Providence, just like any other job that they completed together. Outcome 2. Diana forgives 47 and survives. This is the most likely outcome. Diana is a highly intelligent and rational individual. She would see past 47's controlled actions. He may have pulled the trigger, but he certainly did not load the gun. She would be much more likely to direct her lust for vengeance at those that were truly responsible for pulling the strings behind her parents' deaths. As much as I would love to see more Hitman tales involving Diana beyond Hitman 3, I strongly feel her partnership with 47 has been taken as far as it can go. As I have previously stated, their rising affection for one another peaked in blood money. Consequently, from Absolution onward, the writers had to introduce increasingly outlandish plot lines to keep their interactions fresh and interesting. They have seemingly betrayed each other multiple times now. If it were to continue, it would just become exhaustive and repetitious. However, they still have amazing chemistry as characters that the loyal fanbase loves, which is why I would say IO would be most likely to choose this as a final conclusion. At the end of the day, it's about selling video games, and the Diana and 47 formula makes up a flawless component of that. Outcome 3. Diana forgives 47 and sacrifices herself to save Grey and 47. This would, in my opinion, be the perfect resolution. As devastating as it would be to see Diana go, it would tie off their journey nicely. Their character arc would come full circle, leaving room for a really interesting character to fill her shoes as 47's new handler, Lucas Grey. We've already seen hints of this with him co-commentating with Diana during the later mission briefings of Hitman 2.
Once and for all.
However, for this subterfuge to work, you'll also need to deal with Janus's security detail.
The reason I love this prospect is that he is a newer character with much more scope for fresh storytelling. There is so much that could be explored with them, reconnecting, and the history that he and 47 share. It would provide the series with an altered pace and tone, kind of like when Judi Dench bowed out from the 007 franchise as M, allowing Ralph Fiennes to step in and take the reins as the hero's new superior and mentor. Not only would the writers have a completely new canvas to work with, they could also implement amazing new gameplay too. They could create cooperative missions where players take control of both 47 and Grey as they embark upon a particularly challenging two-man assassination. They could also take a leaf out of the Uncharted series and create prequel levels that take players back to their adventures together in the asylum, providing players with revolutionary insight into 47's childhood and adolescence. That is it. That is my take on the story of Diana and 47, one of the most long-lasting, intriguingly complex and beloved partnerships in video game history. I hope I did them justice. Please provide any thoughts of your own in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to share it around. I look forward to covering much more Hitman lore with you in the future. Until next time, Reaper 1 out.
Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.